listening to Who's Tom and Dick, a weekly podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers, fighting stage 4 lung cancer, and Patrick Mortimer, living with heart disease. Why not grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the chatter as we discuss and share information, talking about tough subjects, and offering help, support, and motivation with a positive mental attitude.
Good morning, Patrick. How are you?
Morning, Martin. Very well, thank you. A lovely, bright, sunny day, isn't it, for December?
Very, very lovely day for December.
I'm looking out the window and the sky has not got a cloud. It's totally blue.
No, that's right. I can see the sky from here. My eyes must be good today. But anyway, we've got a different topic.
Yes.
Different Friday.
Do you think this is a controversial topic?
It's certainly not controversial for me. I'll let you introduce our Friday guest.
Today, we're going to be discussing the subject of homophobia, particularly in Brighton here in England. Apparently, it's still on the increase. So I'd like to welcome our guest today, Federico Barbarossa. Welcome, Federico. Thanks for joining us today. And thanks for writing in and bringing up this subject.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys.
What is homophobia and how does it manifest in society? That's the first question I've got.
Homophobia has been around for years at the end of the day. And, you know, it happens in all big cities and they target people for their sexuality, who they are. And this is what makes this documentary. I can't stop homophobia. Does that make sense? But it's to make people aware about it.
Yeah, I must just come in there because I obviously do research as Patrick does on all our subjects, but I got the dictionary out and read the dictionary definition of homophobia. And I really don't like the way they word it in the dictionary. It's a dislike or a prejudice against gay people. And I think the word dislike is horrible because in society, we shouldn't really dislike anybody. But I don't know how you feel about that definition, Federico.
I think that's horrible. Why would you put that sort of dislike someone as being gay for who they love? You can't help who you love at the end of the day. I think whoever is bang out of order and it should be changed, especially in 2024.
Well, especially nowadays, because, I know there are people who are openly against people who are gay, which is wrong. So, but can you take us back a little bit on your whole story and, when you came out perhaps and things like that?
I've never actually really come out, etc. So my parents obviously realised I was gay because I had obviously boyfriends bringing them around the house. Obviously people, I don't come across as gay, if that makes sense. When I go out with my girlfriends, this is another incident that happened in Brighton. We were in a straight club and I was with one of my girlfriends and this straight guy came up to us and he was like, "Oh, you're punching." And I was like, "Well, I'm gay." And then he was like, "Oh, you shouldn't be in this town." And we were actually in Bridewell, which is the gay capital of the UK. And I was like, this is actually mental. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to beat you up and stuff." So I went and called the bouncer to get him chucked out because I knew the bouncer really well. He got him chucked out. We were still in the club. He waited for us. He waited for me until I left the club. And he said that he had a bottle. So when I walked out the club with my friend, I was actually really in danger for my life. I was really, really scared. So I ended up calling the police. They came within 20 minutes, which I was really, really shocked that they actually even turned up. And they said, "Oh, we'll look for the suspect and try and find him and, do everything we can." And then 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the police saying that they closed the case because they couldn't find him. And
no CCTV of him coming out of the club or anything?
No, nothing. They said they didn't see anything. The Sussex police said they didn't see any CCTV or anything.
Conveniently, so the case is closed.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But like I said, I'm still shocked they even turned up.
Well, yeah, I think I am really. So, that's a great example because I was going to say, have you got any other examples where people have done this to you?
Do you know what? I get a lot of trolling on TikTok when I go live on TikTok from audience. It's horrendous, the amount of TikTok gay boy, batty boy, do you know what I mean? Like very horrible homophobic comments. And and TikTok don't seem to take it very seriously as well, that it can actually really affect someone. Because I've been an actor since 2015 and obviously I'm in the public eye quite a lot. I've been in the media, I've done a lot of TV shows. If for people that haven't done, TV before, it's quite scary for them. Does that make sense? The trolling from Twitter, X, TikTok, etc.
Yeah, can you tell us a few of the programs that you've done?
So I did a TV about the COVID vaccine. It was on BBC. That was on BBC. I've done the Barclays advert. I've done all sorts of stuff. I've done music videos. I did a Cano Water, which is an exciting advert. Have you ever heard of Cano Water? It's promoting this water company in London. I've done theatre. I've worked for, Nella, that was on I'm a Celeb last year. I worked with her. She ruined my hair for some bad Barbers YouTube stuff. But yeah, you name it, I've done it. I've done all different podcasts as well, so I'm very familiar with the industry.
Tell us about your proposed documentary.
Oh, so my proposed documentary. So I've already interviewed 7 people already, which is absolutely great. I interviewed Daniel, that was on Gogglebox. Him, and I did a bit of Googling, and I saw that his ex-husband Stephen got homophobic abuse on Hove Seafront last year.
I love those two.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, he's really nice, Daniel. He's a lovely guy. I met up with him in October, and we had a chat about and I generally think that he feels quite threatened in Brighton, obviously since the homophobic attack happened.
So do you do this documentary and then you pitch it to the channels, or have you got funding that's going to go out anyway?
No, so at the moment I'm just interviewing people, and then I'm going to pitch it to the channels, to the channels that I think that have quite a lot of documentaries. So like it's Channel 4, Channel 5.
Yeah.
And I've made there's this site where you can put your pitch. So the purpose of my documentary, it would be, Brighton's got such a massive LBGT community. The community is absolutely massive. And I feel like there's not enough support group within the gay community. The purpose of this documentary is to provide a safe space for people. I'm going to build like a support group for people that have been homophobic attacked. If they didn't want to meet up with me at the end of the documentary, I was going to, make a WhatsApp group for people that are scared to come out, and sort of I was bringing the support to them, and give them advice and feel that they don't have to suffer alone, if that makes sense. And that, we're all united as one, if that makes sense. And I've interviewed a guy called Simon, and he's a supporter of Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club. He said on his interview that his homophobic abuse was someone from Crystal Palace, because apparently Crystal Palace and Brighton and Hove Albion don't get on. And he explained to me, which it was a really sad interview with him, actually, Simon. He basically said that he Googled how to take him, to kill himself, which is absolutely horrible. And no one should ever feel like that. The documentary wise, I'm never going to stop homophobia. And I've said this from day one, why I'm making it, if that makes sense. I'm making it from my own experience. And I'm making it as well for, the younger generation to feel that it's not right to be prejudiced about someone for their sexuality.
I can understand that Brighton is huge. I just can't think as a town that they would be so against. I can see another town being against you, but not your own town.
I don't know. Do you know what, Anne, as well? I think a lot of the homophobia is from people that are not even from Brighton. I think it's people from London. I think it's a lot of the homophobia is from tourists that don't even live in Brighton. It's when they come to Brighton and they're like, wow, they've got such a big gay village. There's 2 guys holding hands. Or like I said, a lot of it is when tourists do come to the city. Brighton attracts thousands and thousands of people each year for Gay Pride in August. I mean, millions. And there is so many homophobic attacks as well, when, people come to Gay Pride in August, and it's not reported to Sussex Police or Brighton Hove Council, because Brighton Hove Council won't want that on their system, because they want the tourists and they want to bring business to Brighton. So I did get in contact with Brighton Hove Council to get the statistics from the safety team, and they said there was only 11 homophobic attacks between January and September this year. But I don't think that's right. I think they're lying, if that makes sense, on a sense of they don't want to bring bad publicity to the city and stop tourists coming.
You mentioned LGBT. For our listeners, can you clarify what that means?
Lesbian, gay, bi, transsexual, queer community.
It's better coming from you, because we might get it all wrong, you see. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And a thing as well, I've been in the gay community since I was 18. So I know a lot of people. I know a lot of clubs as well. And I interviewed this mum and son. They started up an app called BOBU. It's an app it was self-funded. It was like a charity thing. One of their friends got homophobic attacked in Brighton, and they had nowhere to go. So they started up this app, which is really great. So the listeners you can tell the listeners as well that it's on Google App Store, and it's also on the iStore as well, and they can download that as an app. So it's called BOBU. And it's a safe space where people can go that have been homophobic attacked. So restaurants, bars, clubs, hairdressers, cafes, and there's a sticker in the window as well that tells people that they support the app.
Oh, okay.
Which is really interesting, but they haven't got enough sort of like publicity about it, because obviously I didn't know about it, and I've been on the scene since I was 18. I was like, wow, when I interviewed them both, and yeah, that they obviously explained to me, and that they did explain to me as well that there is a lot of trans people in Brighton that are getting homophobic attacked, and they're not being listened to.
Why do you think that no footballers have come out as openly gay?
Do you know what? I've seen in the media quite a lot of the time that a lot of footballers are coming out, and a lot of their sort of.
I'm talking to the professional, like the Premier League and things like that.
I think it's because they're scared, if that makes sense. They're scared of what people are going to say, and they're going to probably get quite a lot of homophobia abuse.
Well, there's a defender who plays for my team. He's actually married, but because it's only because of the way he dresses, and he wears like a neckchief on the beach, and little skimpy shorts and things, swimming trunks. And I was on a football forum the other day on Facebook, and I really, really wanted to put on there, get off this fella's back, and leave him alone. Everybody else was, if he bends over, watch out, and things like that, which was really getting my temper.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, just go off the page. I had to, but that must be the way you feel at times.
It is actually, yeah. Obviously, I get a lot of comments, and I'll be honest with you, I have tried to commit suicide because of some of these comments that I've received. And obviously, I think when I'm out in Brighton as well, I'm like, why me? There's thousands of other people. Why start on me? Why be rude to me and homophobic? I got the statistics from Sussex Police, which I was really shocked about as well. And they got back to me within 2 weeks, guys, which I was like, wow. So between January and September 2024, this year, there's been 277 homophobic attacks. They're just the ones that have been recorded. So you wouldn't know if there's other that have not been recorded or with Sussex Police. So I was really surprised that they actually got back to me within 2 weeks.
That's quite a lot still, even if it isn't the correct figure, it's an assisted figure to make it look different, but that's still a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, why should gay people have to be sort of, moralized for who they are? Love is love at the end of the day. You can't help who you love.
No, you're right there. I mean, and why gay people? I mean, there's so many different peoples in society nowadays, but people just seem to pick on the gay community, which I think is completely wrong. I'm a big supporter of you all, and
Thank you. Yeah,
I've worked in Benidorm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love Benidorm.
Yeah, for 3 years I sung in all the nightclubs out there. Obviously, I came across a lot of people who were openly gay and all that, and I really believe that I got on better with the people who were gay than I did who were straight.
Do you find you have more female friends than male friends?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, I've got a sort of variety of friends really. I do get on with the girls, but they bring me all their drama as well. Does that make sense, Patrick? So it's like, wow, so I've got to deal with, I've got a lot of lesbian friends. I've got a lot of straight friends. I've got a lot of gay friends as well. So I've got, variety of friends. Yeah, but yeah.
I'm going to go back on the sporting theme again now, because we mentioned about football. I'd like to talk about rugby now. Now, rugby is a big macho sport, but there seems to be more. Gareth Thomas is one example I can think of. Nigel Owens as a referee. That openly gay about how they are. Why do you think rugby players do it and not footballers then?
I don't know. That is a very good question. I do not have a clue on that. I think because like what you said before, they are both very macho sort of rugby players, footballers, they can't be gay. Does that make sense? But probably a lot of them are probably in the closet and they haven't come out.
Yeah, there's a classic video on YouTube of Nigel Owens. Are you aware of Nigel Owens, the referee at rugby?
Yeah, I've heard of that Gareth. Oh, is it that
Yeah, Gareth
Gareth
Thomas. Yeah, he was
Wales?
on
Yeah, I've heard
one of
about
the
him.
jungles, or one of the things that they do. But there's a classic clip, and Chris Robshaw was captain of England, and Chris Robshaw is huge, and Nigel Owens is quite small, and it just made me laugh that Chris Robshaw was going to go and say something to the referee, and all Nigel Owens went was Christopher, and because he's all mic'd up. And he didn't say a word to him. He said, sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. And respect.
Yeah, it's good. You know, like I said, everybody should be there. You don't. Why should you have to hide away at the end of the day who you are? You know,
Well,
and for the listeners as well, don't feel scared to come out, or do you know what I mean? Don't live yourself a lie. You know, don't make yourself unhappy because you don't want to come out as gay, because it's great. You know, don't care what people think about you, because you're not going to like everybody in life.
So do you take
that's a fact.
part in the Gay Pride Week?
Yes, I did actually a couple of years ago with one of my ex-boyfriends in Brighton. I was actually, you know, the Green Party. Obviously, everybody knows about the Green Party. I was on their float, which is quite exciting, and everybody was like, "Wow!" But Brighton Pride is not like it used to be now. It's more about, you know, the massive headliners like Kylie, and it's all about making money. And I think why should you have to pay like £30 to go and dance on the seafront? Because now it's all cordoned off, and it's all for money making. Does that make sense, Patrick? And I think like it's not about pride making Brighton and Hove the city for everybody to come together. It's all about getting money, and you know, and getting more people into the, you know, to getting coming into Brighton to visit, for tourists and the visitors. That's why this documentary, I don't want to stop people coming to Brighton. I don't want people to think, oh, you know, don't come to Brighton because you're going to get attacked, or, you know, you're going to get homophobic abuse, or, you know, I'm making this documentary to make people aware that Brighton is not this rainbow wow city, that there is a really bad dark side to it as well.
Brighton is lovely. I was there last year. I went to Eastbourne and Brighton.
No, I actually live near Brighton. I live near Tunbridge Wells and Brighton. So,
Okay.
But I'm talking about homophobia as well. In my local town, Tunbridge Wells in Kent, they opened up a gay pub, and that got the windows smashed. It got graffitied, which is really sad, because, you know, that's another homophobic attack, you know, in the local area, because Tunbridge Wells got a massive gay community as well, because obviously like Tunbridge Wells. And then recently a gay bar opened up in Tunbridge Wells, but that didn't last as well, which is sad. I asked a business lady, she owns a restaurant in Tunbridge Wells, I told her about it, and I told her obviously about my documentary that I'm starting up, and she was like, wow, Brighton, homophobia in Brighton? Everybody I've spoke to were like, wow, they're absolutely astonished and shocked.
Yeah. You mentioned that you came out, you know, to your friends at 18, and you only just admitted it to like your parents by taking home a boyfriend at 18.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I did sort of like have a feeling on guys when I was at school, and, you know, stuff sort of, you know, fiddle, do you know what I mean? Played around and stuff. But, you know, I have slept with girls as well, and a lot of gay people have not slept with girls.
Yeah.
A lot of gay guys that I've come across.
Do you class yourself as gay then, or bi?
No, I'd say gay.
Yeah.
I'd say gay now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of A-list celebrities now that are gay, and they're very, very popular. Do you think they receive these attacks as well?
Well, this is it, because obviously I saw you interviewed Matt Lucas, and I saw it on Twitter, I think yesterday. He had quite a lot of homophobic abuse at a local football match or something. I think maybe a lot of these homophobic abuse is because we are in the public eye. Does that make sense? And people have seen us on TV shows and they think, oh, well, they're gay, we can target them more than less than people that are not in the public eye, if that makes sense.
Do you have a coping mechanism yourself from this abuse that you get, or?
I just shut it out, really. Like, I don't really want to, like, when I've been on TV shows and stuff, I just ignore all the comments. Does that make sense? But people have obviously screenshotted them and sent them to me and tagged me and stuff. And it does make you feel really depressed and suicidal, and it makes you think, you know, what's the point? Does that make sense? You know, why people started picking on me? And homophobia, obviously it's been around for years, and I'm, like I said to you, I'm never going to be able to stop homophobia.
How does homophobia intersect with other forms of discrimination like racism and sexism, do you think?
Well, going back to that, I don't just get homophobia on social media. I get Harry Potter, Mr. Bean. I get all, you know, the comments and stuff. It's not just gay. I just get it from every single angle whatsoever. And I think a lot of other people do as well.
Some people don't like people who get on.
Yeah, I did actually come off social media for a bit because it actually really did affect me. Obviously, you said what's my coping mechanism? Yeah, I came off social media because I generally felt quite depressed and quite sad and quite suicidal about, why are people so jealous about me, etc. But what you put out there in the world, it will bite you in the back if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
there's just so much hate as well in this world. It's just such a I do worry for my nieces and nephews' future, if that makes sense. What we're actually being brought up to with all this abuse.
So you don't think
Yeah.
us getting
Yeah.
better then? You think us sort of plateaued?
I think society is actually getting worse, to be honest. And I think a lot of people are just not going out because they're generally scared that they're going to get abused or, attacked or homophobic attacked. I was talking to my gran and she's 87 and she's like, wow, this world we live in is just crazy now. She's like, thank God I haven't got to be on this world any longer, which is really sad for her to hear that.
Some of the things you're saying is, I think will shock a few people. I'm aware of, my friends getting this abuse and in different places and all that. But if somebody's listening to this podcast and thinking about coming out, what would you say to them?
Just be yourself. Just like I said, you don't hide away. Just be yourself and just talk out. Don't think you can't come out because you're going to upset your dad or your gran or your family or your mum or dad. At the end of the day, you only get one life, so just live it. Just live your life, and don't take criticism what people say. At the end of the day, you are who you are.
I think society is getting worse in a way because, we're made aware of racism and all of this sort of thing more and more now.
We should just live who we are, what we are. There's too much, like I just said to you, there's too much hate in this world and there's too much people, too much being prejudiced about people. And there's always going to be a comment about someone, isn't there, for their race or sexuality, etc.
Going back to the football, it's not all football, this podcast, but obviously they're doing.
Football is not my forte.
No, but you must be aware that on the corner flags they've got the rainbow flag,
yeah, absolutely,
the
yeah,
armbands and laces. So that they really are trying to support this, aren't they?
Yeah, I've noticed that, and the police are taking it really seriously about these homophobic attacks, which I've read.
Yeah, with the rainbow, there was one captain who refused to wear a rainbow. He was against it, and I think Patrick's.
Yes. Well, I just think that's another way of emphasising the issue. I'm sure that all gay people, black people, just want to fit into society. They don't want to be constantly reminded that they're gay or black.
This is it. Yeah, same as me. My friends, they're like, Luca. Like, this is why I don't act overly gay. Do you know what I mean? I do my own thing at the end of the day, and I don't put it in people's faces, if that makes sense.
With this podcast, what do you think is the most important thing that our listeners can take away from listening to you talking about homophobia?
Is, like I said to you, everybody, be yourself. Don't be scared to come out. While I'm making this documentary, to make people aware that Brighton is got a very dark side to it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I think that a channel will take this up. Definitely, I'm not an expert, but it would appeal to me to watch.
Well, this is it. This is what I think. Exactly what I think, Patrick. Yeah, everybody should just do be happy and no hate and just get on in life. Really, life's too short at the end of the day. You don't know when your time's up.
No, that's right. Well, I tell you what, I really, as I said, I hope this documentary comes out, and the question is possibly not to answer your documentary, but what's next for you?
What is next for me? I'm busy doing my auditions for adverts. Hopefully I'll get one of those. God, I've had so many this year. It's absolutely crazy. And the acting industry is not the same as it used to be. Since COVID and the strikes on the actors, it's not like what it used to be, which is quite disheartening. And I think sometimes should I just give up? Does that make sense? But no, what's next for me? So I want to start my own podcast, actually.
We've found that our podcast has been quite successful, and it's surprising what the subjects that you pick. I mean, we obviously picked our health, and you're in good health. Yeah,
I'm in pretty good health. Yeah, one of my friends, she's because obviously I told her about I was going on this podcast, and she's actually got heart disease as well. Bless her. So she obviously was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." Christina Harvey. She's actually a singer-songwriter as well.
Perhaps you'll get her
Bless
to
her.
fill in a guest application form for us, and
Yeah, I will do actually. Yeah, she was on. She was actually on Channel 4 First Dates, and look her up as well. She's on iTunes as well. She's fabulous.
Christina Harvey.
But yeah, so I really want this documentary to come about, and it's to make people aware, that Brighton is Brighton at the end of the day. And
well, you have surprised me during this interview with that fact. I've got to admit, because I thought you'd be united. But there's always going to be those odd few. I mean, I put a post on Facebook the other day. It was remember in the 1976, our hot summer, and they wanted a picture of you in 1976 and now. And all I got was, oh my God, you look like Eric Morecambe, and things like that, which isn't nasty. But, that wasn't the kind of thing that I put the post up for,
Federico probably doesn't know who Eric Morecambe is, Martin.
No, I don't think I've heard of him.
Morecambe and Wise were a huge, big double act.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Morecambe Wise, and I've heard of
He used to go with his glasses like that and wobbling.
Oh, right, yeah. And I used to love that program with Frank Spencer, Betty. Oh, I used to love that.
Some mothers do have them, yeah.
Oh, I love all that stuff now.
Yeah.
I like all those. And 40 Towers.
Oh God, yeah. They don't make comedies like that anymore.
No, it's what me and my friend were talking about the other day. Like I'm a celebrity as well. They're not really real celebrities, are they?
No, it's all reality things now. Love Island, and they become famous through that. But the funny thing is, even podcasters become famous now.
Well, this is it. I was on the Spotify and I was looking through, podcasts. I'm like, wow, there's so many podcasts from all these people that have been on Love Island. And
do they still have a nudist beach at Brighton?
Yes, I was just about to come on to that. I do. I put my hands up. I do go to the nudist beach every summer, which we didn't really have a summer this year, unfortunately. It was horrendous. But yeah, I do go to the nudist beach, and there is a very different types of people. But when I've obviously sat on there, there's I've seen quite a lot of, families, and I'm like, wow, that can you see there's a sign? Because there is a sign that actually says Brighton Nudist Beach. But there's quite a lot of I've noticed a lot of straight guys down there, and I generally don't think they realise that it is a nudist beach.
Martin was on there last summer, and he was striding along when there was these two old guys sitting side by side, and they said, "Oh, did you see him?" And they said, "Yes." He said, "Whatever he was wearing needs ironing." So when you go down this nudist beach, do you go nude?
100%, absolutely. And I don't get in the sea now because the sewage goes in there, which I found out.
That would be embarrassing. I can't imagine that, Martin.
Yeah.
Can you?
No. And as I said earlier, I didn't even see a sign for it. I would have walked.
Yeah,
past.
there is a sign. Yeah, right up on the top. It's right up in the stones. But I think they might have changed it now because they've done quite a lot of regeneration work down there to try and stop it. What's going on? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there was one in Benidorm actually, and but that was quite difficult to get to, which was quite good, really. So if you really, really wanted to get to it, you'd have to climb over rocks and things like that. But
mine's got the bruises to show for it.
No, and I never once went. We walked past where the steps were, but that's as close as I got. So
perhaps we should do a podcast from there.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a podcast in the nudist beach? That would be very interesting, guys.
It would.
Yeah, just one more thing. At the end of the day, just be yourself and don't be afraid to talk out and how you're feeling. And if you've been homophobic attacked before in the past, seek help and tell your friends.
Is there any help groups you can go to?
Yes, there is help groups. I've obviously Googled on Facebook. So you've got like the LGBT community support groups in Brighton as well. And obviously I'm starting up the support groups of people that have been homophobic attacked within the city. This is the part of the documentary is I wanted one episode in Brighton, so covering Brighton, Sussex, London, Manchester and Liverpool, all the big sort of gay big scenes within the UK.
Yeah, well, good luck with it all. But I'd like to just say before we finish, you mentioned that you felt suicidal. Don't forget, it's always good to talk and make sure you've got a phone number of a friend where you can talk yourself, because you come across as such a great guy. And, we wouldn't want anything to...
I get the impression you've got a positive mental attitude. Would you say you have?
Yeah, absolutely. But I suffer with mental health issues myself. So some days I'll have good days, some days I have bad days, but everybody has.
And how do you get over your bad days?
My bad days, I just shut myself away and just watch rubbish TV and just eat rubbish food and just sleep.
I got asked that question. I've done a couple of radio interviews for lung cancer. I never seem to have a bad day with what I've got, stage 4 lung cancer, I'm just happy all the time. And I never think I've got it. I don't feel as if I've got it. Yes, I do when I have my chemotherapy, which I'm taking at the moment, but I don't know if I'm lucky or I've got a different attitude. But yeah, I don't seem to have bad days. Do you have bad days, Pat? You never?
I've good and bad days, yeah. I mean, just by what my health is more than anything else.
You just got to keep yourself healthy these days, take lots of vitamins and eat good food. You are what you eat as well.
Yeah,
I say to a lot of people.
So they say.
I remember speaking to somebody a few years ago who was terminally ill, and he said that to me that I always think there's always somebody worse off than myself.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say that to me when I'm depressed. People are like, Luca, why are you depressed? You've got everything in the world, but you can have absolutely everything and still feel depressed.
Yeah, I was in hospital last week. I sat there and I'm sort of half asleep in the chair because you did nothing else to do much. But the poor guy next to me, he's more or less got the same cancer as me, and they said to him, "It's really a shame that your drugs aren't working." And I thought, I don't know what I'd say if or do if they said that to me because mine are working and it's shrunk to 2 millimeters.
You look really healthy. Yeah.
Hopefully the next two will clear it up. But like. You both said there's always someone else worse off than yourself. And on that note, thank you very much for coming on our podcast. It's been a real eye-opener to me, as I say.
It has been a pleasure to have you on here.
It has.
No, thank you for having me, guys. Thank you. And having great. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Lovely chatting with you.
Take care, guys.
Great to chat with you. Bye.
Bye, mate. Bye. Well, that was an eye-opener, wasn't it, Patrick?
Something that I've not really considered or looked into much until now, to be honest with you. Obviously I'm aware of the nastiness about, and I've probably participated in it myself in the years gone by. Not proud of that, but it's how you behave at school, your peers, and one thing and another. But it's got to change, hasn't it? It's got to change. I think it is changing.
I think Benidorm was a big eye opener to me when I, mixed with so many people. I mean, I've always known some people who have been gay and or lesbian and things like that, and obviously now it's all these letters, the LGBTQ, and I'm glad Federico told us what that was.
Well, we do tackle some interesting subjects on here, and that certainly was an interesting subject.
Yeah, it was. When we got the email from him to say, "Can you come on and talk?" I really, really wanted to do it. And I thought it was very good. And I hope our listeners enjoy all these different topics that we're doing.
Well, that's it, Martin, for this week. We're heading fast towards Christmas.
We are.
And you've had to give up Santa Claus, but we'll talk about that.
Yes and no.
Week.
We'll talk about that in our recap show, won't we? Between the Christmas and New Year. Okay, mate.
Nice to see you again today, Mark.
Yeah, lovely to see you, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
You've been listening to the Who's Tom and Dick podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers and Patrick Mortimer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite streaming platform. New episodes are available every Friday. Thanks for tuning in.